What have you thought about your group from the beginning of fall camp to now, just the overall improvement and where they stand?
Yeah, we're making some strides. You're seeing the Savion Birds and Nate Anderson's getting more and more accustomed to what we're doing. Even though they did go through spring ball, it's just nice to see their progress development, kind of getting a feel for their strengths, their weaknesses, where we can play them, what they can do. Then you're starting to see a guy like a Ben Sparks and Logan Parr start to slowly get back in the mix as well. So we're trending back to getting back to full health, but all in all, pleased with where we're at right now.
You mentioned Savion about his consistency, that was an area you want to see him grow. I know it's only been a couple of weeks, but have you started to see that develop?
We have, and he's been at the guard position, which I think is a more natural spot for him. We tried to force the tackle some, and if we need to, we'll play him at tackle if we need to. The good news is he went through a whole spring ball at tackle. He's done the majority of this camp at guard. So all in all, we feel like he's a guy and a piece that we can use in a lot of different ways.
With Nate playing out at right tackle, what went into that decision, and then just what did you see from Andrew when he was in there early in fall camp?
Yeah, the biggest thing with Nate, we just saw a guy who had an attitude and a mindset and a work ethic to where we had to find a way for him to play. And just so happened to be, that was what he played in high school. And sometimes you look at him and you say, well, he looks like he's more of a center guard body. He may be, but he may feel more comfortable at tackle. And we bumped him out there. It has been a transition for him, but we've seen a steady improvement day by day. With Andrew, we still have a small sample size of what we've seen. The thing we can go back on is the success he did have at Arkansas, to see that film. But also with him, as he played left tackle at Arkansas, we had him at right tackle. So we were able to start cross-training that as well. Because we're going to need them all throughout the season, and we're going to find ways to try and play them all.
What were the takeaways from scrimmage last week, and did it give you any sort of clarity about what the line's going to be?
Scrimmage more so just kind of see how guys react without us right behind them telling them what to do. We kind of knew what we had and didn't have going into it, and I kind of felt the same way after. That didn't really change a whole lot of opinions, but I feel confident with this group moving forward.
How much improvement have you seen from PJ, and what has he meant to this offensive line?
Yeah, I think PJ's probably the guy that's had the most consistent, best camp of anyone in the group. Can't really remember the last time he lost a one-on-one rep, to be honest with you. He's his jump from last fall to spring ball and then now to August camp has been really, really fun to watch. He's went from a guy who's been a solid, steady guy that we could count on to be a starter in our lineup to probably our best lineman right now, as far as how he's operating and doing things. So, and that's not to take away from anybody else. It's just that's to compliment him on how well he's done.
Can you kind of feel the guys pushing each other more this year than last year, with you have so many more options and guys with more experience?
You know what? We've got a pretty good culture in the room. We had a pretty good culture in the room last year. I think that's probably the one thing that this room's got to figure out more that last room had is last year's room had a lot of grit to them. This room's probably a little bit more talented. We're getting the grit, we're getting the drive and those things, but that's probably the one thing last year's line probably had a little bit of leg up now, but by the time the first game, I feel we'll be there.
I was going to say, where does that grit kind of come from typically?
When it's 100 degrees and you're practicing in the heat and you have to push through it and there's no way out, that's usually it.
Savion, what has he done at left guard and just kind of getting him back there, a place that he has played a lot?
Yeah, I think there's so much at the tackle position as far as sliding out the edge pressure, seeing different movements, doing some things, and he's played on the left side of the line the majority of his high school and college career. So we were asking him to do something completely opposite he's done his whole entire life, and it wasn't showcasing him the best way we should have. We kind of joke, like we got him a left guard and we almost took the dog off the chain, and so he's cut loose. He can play a lot more free, a lot more aggressive, and you're starting to see that on film. He's turning loose a lot more, and you're seeing the athlete and the player that we know he can be.
With some guys coming back from injury, with it being the first game of the season, with there being a little
probably one of the more liberal coaches in the country as far as playing guys. So we're going to play guys. Yes, in September we're going to lean to playing more guys more often, just for the fact of the heat and the weather. Still figuring out what guys can and can't do. Still giving guys opportunities at bats. It's like Ben Sparks. Ben Sparks played a lot of snaps last year, and he's a guy we haven't really even referenced. And Ben's a guy who is going to play quality football for us this season. So I think with the 8 guys, I think we've been mentioning, the 5 that's been rotating with the first group, Parr, Ben Sparks, Chambly, I think you're going to see a lot of those 8 guys throughout the year.
What do you hope is different this season? You guys were successful last season, but what do you hope to change now?
You know what? I mean, as far as production, we produced pretty well last year. So if we can have the similar type production in a better league and a better competition, that would be a big win for the room. But it's going to be a harder challenge, just because it's harder competition. Better players make it harder to block better. So that's going to be the biggest thing is keep the same standard, but keep that same standard versus better competition.
You've known Ja'Kai a long time. What, from last year when he arrived, and obviously didn't go the way he wanted, or you guys maybe, but to now where he's right in there in the mix to play a lot, and just looks like he's reshaped himself again.
Yeah, I mean Ja'Kai's the veteran of the veteran in the room. He's a big resource for Osborne to lean on at center, having played the position. He will be our backup center. He's a guy that is just so steady and reliable, and you know what you're getting every single day, and he's got a great feel for football, doesn't have wasted movements, great communicator. I mean, can't say enough about Ja'Kai, about what he's a guy that is really, really talented, really, really athletic, all those things, but he also has a quality of making the guys around him a lot better.
And then Justin, he got a little bit of buzz with the Remington, getting maybe a little bit of preseason buzz. I mean, it's taken this long for us to talk about him with you, but he was your top guy last year.
Yeah, I mean, and I reference PJ being so well. It's almost, you reference PJ being so well, it's almost assumed that Justin Osborne's going to be one of your best guys. He's professional in the way he goes about his business, works hard. It's been cool to see his growth the last 3 years, just from a maturity standpoint. And he's really embraced the center role, done a nice job with it. And really, really excited to see him have a good last year. I know 2 years ago he had the back that just kind of hampered him and slowed him down, and he didn't play. He had a couple of games where he was phenomenal, but all in all didn't play to his standards because his back was sore. Last year he got leg whipped Oklahoma, was battling the knee and the ankle the majority of the year. Still, with the last 2 years, has played really good football. If we can keep him healthy for a full year, we're excited to see what that looks like.
What's that offensive coaching room like when you've got a head coach that calls plays, you've been a head coach, Mike has been an offensive coordinator, and just kind of how that collaboration kind of works with this team?
I think the biggest thing, there's a lot of trust just because we've been together. I know myself, Coach Likens, Coach Lasher, it's going on our 5th year together. It's a little unique when we're game planning and someone new comes in the room, because it may not sound as thorough to them, because we kind of know how we want to attack people, we know how we want to see things. So it's probably a little bit quicker. I would say that's the biggest thing, is it just saves a lot of time. And at the end of the day, it's Rhett Lashley's show. We're here to give ideas, but at the end of the day, it's his offense. We're going to do what he wants to do, and it's our job to get the guys to execute to the best of their abilities.